Hey, all right. Welcome to yet another kitchen sink microscopy. I'm Eric Rosenblatt, and we would totally love it if you'd like and share this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that little bell, and put the circle around the square or whatever like ridiculous new hoops YouTube is going to make people jump through in the future. I'm trying to kind of like future-proof these episodes. So, that little arrow, like point the arrow towards the target, I guess, or whatever. I don't know. Hey, anything goes these days. It's 2020.
I'm Eric's plucky sidekick, Casey Rochford. Did you know we write our own music? Okay, I'm not.
There should be like me holding a puppet of you doing that. But I'll see if I can put that in. Probably won't be able to, but that would be funny if we had actual like staff. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, just check out our music at the end of the episode. You can get it on iTunes and Spotify, and iTunes and Spotify.
Oh, and Spotify and iTunes, I think too, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Yes, I was going to bring those up. Yes. Yes. All right.
Wait. And don't forget to mention you can go to ksmvidcast.com, our website, to kind of get a comprehensive ball of everything we do. Our episodes, conversations, random stupid thoughts we have and stuff like that. It's all there at ksmvidcast.com. Yeah.
Indubitably, my austere friend. All right. So, what are we talking about tonight?
Well, I think Picard maneuver. I think it's might be a good idea. It's been a while since we've done a lightning round, so it's probably time to do another lightning round.
Another what?
Bam! Exactly. Yeah. So, for those who are just joining us that don't know what a lightning round is, we take all of our major kind of topics, the categories that we discuss, and we divvy them up amongst each other, and we pick random stuff. So neither of us knows what the other person's going to bring up. And we have 5 minutes to discuss, and then we move on to the next topic. The last one, we both know what it is. And so it's kind of a fun mixed bag. So yeah, I think we should get started. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. So I think you want to kick this one off. I trip on my tongue.
You want a little more beer? Here you go.
I'm not pissed.
Oh man, just nicely drunk.
Cracking
All right.
on here.
So I guess we're gonna start with conspiracies. All right, so I'll get the timer started. 5 minutes. Bam. UFOs are real.
Well, yeah.
There was the whole like the Pentagon, was it the Navy? Like military organizations released a bunch of footage, and they were basically like in essence saying this stuff isn't terrestrial, and nobody cared. That's what's newsworthy to me is like, okay. Well, finally, like there's some confirmation of some of this stuff because I have my own UFO stories, and everybody's like, whatever.
Yeah. Not even that. They kind of did it twice. Like that happened years ago, and people were like, and then all of a sudden, this old ass story starts recirculating about that, and then people were kind of like,
Yeah, I mean, some people were pretty excited about it. I mean, I think it's kind of cool. I think information should be free. Like we should know about things and share information, and even if we don't understand things, because I think this is kind of an unexplained phenomena, but I think it's a real one. I don't know what it is because, like I said, I've seen some things that are pretty bizarre, and it's nice that at least it's not this kind of like whole denial thing where they neither confirm nor deny the speculations. It's actually, well, yeah, they're sharing some footage and some information, and I'm sure there's probably a gold mine of information if you were an insider. God, I
Were
would
you
love
telling
to.
me that the way those things, those UFOs were turning on a dime or whatever at those speeds, wouldn't that like liquefy any living thing inside of it?
Well, and that's why that's what's so crazy about it. It defies the laws of physics. Like inertia. It's a
Yeah.
thing, right? You're going like I don't know how fast they were going, 600 miles an hour or something, and then you stop and then go straight down and under the water and then come back up or something like that. And I have my own kind of ideas about the propulsion systems and things like that. It's kind of like a interdimensional, like kind of like a strobe, sort of like jumping from position to position rather than moving through space. But that's we got 5 minutes. I don't even want to go into that. Actually, we only have 2 minutes now. But it's pretty surreal. Like I think it's kind of a big deal. It's like actually an important thing. However you feel about aliens or UFOs, what you think they are, whether it's some kind of like something in our heads, a cultural thing, or whether it's actual aliens or something. Like I think it's significant, and it kind of tells us a lot about ourselves and our place in the universe. And for people to just kind of shrug their shoulders and dismiss it really makes me sad. They talk about like what celebrities or politicians are doing or something like that and ignore something that actually matters. Like this stuff is kind of a big deal, I think, but whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I always felt like there was this one thing that stood out to me in Star Trek from the background, and that was like, you'd see all these different alien worlds, and nobody's like batting an eye that there's aliens walking around. Like it's all like super normal to every freaking planet they go to. Like they pretty much maybe once had like a xenophobic race in the show. But all the others were just like, hey, yeah, come on in. It's nothing weird that you look totally different than us. And by totally different, I mean, you don't have a little ridge right here.
Well, and I think like as in the context of Star Trek, they're spacefaring. Everybody's visited multiple worlds and seen multiple species. And they're used to the fact that people develop differently. So it's really no big deal.
Yeah.
Kind of like skin color, or at least how skin color should be. On planet Earth, or culture or something like that, but that's a good point. And although I do have a problem with the whole like bipedal humanoid, everybody is kind of like that, and they're all carbon based and stuff. Like I don't know if that's exactly how it would be. I just once I'd like to see some weird stuff. Well, Red Dwarf did that with. Oh, that's it.
Got that Red Dwarf reference.
Yeah. The one with the blob. Camille. Yeah. So okay.
All right.
So it's on to you.
Okay. So in a somewhat related field here, we're going to go with science.
Science. Okay. Tell me when to start and I'll go.
Go.
All right.
Should Pluto still be a planet?
Ooh, as a kid, I always grew up like thinking Pluto was a planet, right? And now it's kind of like, well, no, it isn't. It's kind of like one of those things out there in the fringes of the solar system that's not really quite a planet, but it kind of is. Like, I I think all of that is really subjective and doesn't really matter. I think Pluto is an interesting place and something worthy of study, and maybe it's irrelevant whether you call it a planet or not. Um, it's still something interesting.
I've just always thought that it fit the bill of being a planet in that it followed the orbit of our particular solar system, and it's a standalone body that, as far as I know, doesn't have moons of its own.
No, it has
Oh, does it?
Charon, I think, or whatever, however you pronounce it. Yeah, so it has a moon,
Oh,
which
okay.
which to me kind of makes it a planet. Like I don't care
Yeah,
how
exactly.
diminutive it is, and
Yeah, see, it's like what you and I, like what a common person thinks of when they hear that word, it clearly must mean something different to.
Yeah, well, there's like a technical definition, and it's kind of changed over the years and stuff like that. I think it doesn't matter. Like, decide for yourself. If you want to call Pluto a planet, go ahead. If you don't,
I'll admit to a little bit of appeal to tradition, maybe,
hmm
in thinking like, well, we've always called it a planet or whatever, but I got to recognize the fact that that's a logical fallacy, and basically, like, what's it really matter if I mean, that's science, right? Oh, whoops, we were wrong. Now we think this way.
yeah, no, you're
So,
totally right. Although I think there's room for there's a little bit of wiggle room, like space for exceptions and tradition.
yeah, I mean,
Like
if
that.
you were raised calling it a planet and you call it a planet at like a cocktail party, nobody should be like, well, actually, they should just go, oh, grandpa.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because I I think maybe it like I had said, it doesn't really matter whatever name you call something. Like the box you put it in is irrelevant. The fact is, it's an object, two objects actually, orbiting the sun, and they're of interest to us as humans, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So, and maybe there's more. Like there's the whole like Planet X kind of thing, and Nibiru and weird shit like that. I think it really, what's in a name, right? Like, does it actually matter? It probably not.
Yeah, it's just another label.
Well, yeah, and does Pluto actually care what Earth calls it?
Maybe.
Think about that. Well,
Yeah.
the Plutonians, they might be offended by that. Yeah, yeah.
I feel like there's an all planets matter joke here, but
Mhm. Have you seen some of the footage from was it Huygens, I think, the probe that went there? Like, man, that is some awesome shit. Like, the thing is, like, there's so much cool stuff to see. We made like leaps and bounds in technological advancement, from a space standpoint, and it's so cool and so fascinating. If people just stop and ignore all the Kardashians and think about the Cardassians. Um, uh, but yeah, it's pretty cool. But getting back to what you said, I consider it a planet, um, like loosely, I guess. Um, but I don't care. I don't care what scientists say or what anybody says. Like, eh, it's a it's a planet. It has a moon. Like that matters, right?
yeah,
Um,
it's just funny. It's been that way now. A
oh,
dwarf planet.
oh yeah, dwarf planet. Yeah, exactly. Uh, okay, so we've run out of time on Pluto, so let's go. Excuse me. need more beer. Next topic is religion.
Yes.
Yes, religion. So I'm going to start. And okay, what do you think about the statement atheism is no different than a religion?
Uh, I I will automatically say that that's not the case, just because a religion requires like a central tenet, like some kind of like uh, this is the way we're going to do things kind of mob mentality or whatever.
Yeah.
I just don't see that. I don't know.
But I hear people say that often, right? Like people who are critical of atheism in particular, but yeah.
Yeah, it's funny that they would choose something that their faith actually is, and then try to cast it on something else as though considering it that is to be laughed at or something,
Sounds
or
a little bit
hated.
like projection in a way.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends. It's this whole like uh everything fits in one box, right? Like there's only a monolithic, homogenous hive mind of people, right? So, and maybe if you're in a religion, certain religions may be that way, right? Everybody believes the same thing, but I don't think it's that way with atheism, especially with like agnosticism. It's very, very broad and very diverse in thought. Um, and yeah, I don't see how you could think that it like atheism as a concept could possibly be like a religion. I mean, maybe there are some atheists who carry some kind of religiosity or
Well,
behave in
yeah,
that way.
yeah. That's what I was going to get to. Is that there's a big difference between a religion and being religious. Like there are certainly people that use atheism in a religious manner,
Yeah.
but atheism itself kind of means that like there is no supernatural entity or whatever. Like that's kind of built into the name, and so there's no central guiding authority or whatever.
Which is critical for something to be a religion.
Right.
So yeah, and I yeah, atheism is more like the idea that, well, again, it's a spectrum. Like my particular flavor is I don't know. I don't know. I can't prove or disprove the existence of any God. Therefore, I just sit in ambiguity. Like I have no idea. And it doesn't matter in the end, is kind of the way I see it. Um, I'm open to conversations and things like that and uh, new information and things, as any person of science should be. You should always be open to it because, okay, it's possible there could be a God, but based on the information we have, it's probably not that likely. And if there is a God, God is probably an alien. Just saying.
I would agree on that front.
Mm-hmm. But this whole like atheism is a religion kind of thing is sort of like the kind of a almost a way of uh, how do I describe it? Like kind of attacking it to I yeah
Going for like to like delegitimize it or something.
yeah exactly. But it's kind of ironic that people of religion will use that angle to delegitimize
I think that's kind of what I was getting at earlier. Is like, yeah, it's funny that you're like, oh, I don't like that. I'm gonna call it the thing it hates, and gonna call it a religion, and just not realize how that makes my own religion seem as mockable. I don't know. Maybe that's just
Mhm.
my thinking.
That's the irony of the whole thing. Exactly. Yeah, you've demonstrated the reason why people are atheist. Um, whoop. Hey, I rest my case. Mic drop. Bam. um, okay, so I believe it's your turn now.
Yep. Just had to get another beer. Maybe that's not the best idea.
It seems to result in hilarity and mirthfulness in these episodes.
All right. So now we got public health and safety.
Yep. All right. Tell me when to start the timer and I'll go.
All righty. Is climate change threatening humans?
Ooh. Yes. But not to the degree that the people who stand to gain from the alarmism purport, I guess.
But I mean, there's like, look at these crazy wildfires, giant freaking hurricanes, and all kinds of like, just remembering from our pasts, like things like that occurring every summer, getting a little worse. That wasn't really the norm until just recently.
Well, yeah, and there's reason to be concerned whenever there's some kind of change in a pattern. But the question is the pattern the norm, or is the pattern some kind of aberration? And I don't know that case, at least as far as I'm concerned, has been made. We
It's definitely an aberration. I mean, there's little like sine waves or whatever, but this is more like a sine wave that's like trending up pretty steeply.
Yeah, I don't know that those kinds of things are necessarily like the end of humanity or anything like that. And I don't think it's irreversible. Yes, invest in nuclear power. Fuck yeah. If you actually care about any of this, you should be ignoring all the other noise and focusing on nuclear power, because that's the only way to actually fix things. But I don't think it's the zombie apocalypse, like the end of the world kind of thing. Like anybody who's trying to sell something on emotion is trying to sell you garbage. I guess that's not to say we shouldn't care, because I think it is important to care about this and to protect the planet. I mean, oh fuck, we're a tiny ball of dirt floating around in the middle of space, which space is harsh. Like space basically wants to kill us. So we should do everything in our power to preserve whatever we have. But is it like some kind of apocalyptic kind of thing? Like I don't know. Maybe, but I think reason should be injected in there. We should be cautious, especially if somebody's telling us like the end is near, because that's like the dude with the banner, telling you should repent and things like that.
I mean, is it sold to emotion or is it sold with emotion? Like, I mean, there is a difference.
It's both. And that's the thing. Like, if you come at people with reason and common sense, people will respond in a reasonable way. But I think,
sometimes.
okay, yeah, that's
not
true.
every time.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I don't know. I don't think it's as dire as people claim, and maybe there's more to the story. Like, I think it's important that people investigate and, you know, research and learn about how things work as best as they can. Sorry about the public education system. I'm sorry you're a fucking idiot. I can't do anything about that, but you know, the internet does help. Yeah, but
I remember learning about climate science way back in the early 90s. Like it's been something that has been seen coming for the last
yeah,
20 years at least. And yeah, it's I mean, I don't think there's anyone who can deny that there's like a visible difference in anyone who's like an appreciable age can recognize, you know, like
oh sure, there's things going on, but the question is why and how and what to do about it. And I don't think a carbon tax is the way to fix it. Okay,
that's probably a whole episode.
Yeah, that totally is. We'll have to go back into that one. That's actually a really good topic to talk for an hour on.
Yeah.
But it's a good start. So, all right, now it's my turn. So we're gonna go into politics.
Is it my turn now?
Red Dwarf reference. Oh man, good episode, by the way. Okay, so we got politics. All right, I'll start the timer. Okay. When is forceful resistance to government justified?
When you say justified, you mean like in a legal sense or
No.
in a social
No,
sense?
at that point, it's irrelevant. Like, I mean, from a moral sense, like something that can be morally justified.
I think that's something you need. You need to know that that's an option, I think.
Which
To be able to like forcibly go against someone who may be oppressing you, you know. I think having the right to do that is paramount to freedom.
Well, for sure. But, you know, as far as the legality is concerned, I mean, you know, you go back to like Stalin and the USSR and stuff like that. The citizens of the USSR didn't have the legal right to do anything. So they were subject to that government. And we're subject to our current government.
Well, yeah, most felonies are things you do against the government.
That's true. It's not something. That actually, I would ask in any of those situations. Show me the victim, and if the victim is the state, get the fuck out. Like you have no game. You've got nothing.
Yep.
You know, and that would get rid of all the drug laws and the prostitution laws and all the bullshit and gambling and all this stuff, like all these stupid felonies. But you know, all the more to control you with. Step into my parlor, said the spider to the fly.
But you were asking about when is it justified. I mean, that's a hard line to draw. Very gray area.
Well,
you know,
that's a good point. I guess thinking about it now, the only way to justify it is in hindsight, right?
Yeah.
You know, in Nazi Germany, if somebody stood up and started shooting brown shirts and shot Hitler in the head or something like that, at the time, the citizens of Germany would be horrified. But now we'd be like, oh, hell yeah. So I guess it takes like time to prove that justification, I guess.
That almost makes a philosophical argument for just it's better to ask for forgiveness than to ask for permission.
Yeah. I I live that daily, by the way. Um, just saying. Um, yeah, and I think time proves whether you're right or not. And yeah, maybe this is like a bigger conversation than can be had in 5 minutes.
We're just getting into time, man.
Yeah, prove to me that time is real. Yeah. But it's an important question that I think people should ask each other and themselves. Like, at what point is enough enough? At what point would you act? Where is the line? Like the line in the sand where you're like, that's it. I will kill now
Yeah,
because we've
I feel like
crossed some
we're
kind of
super close
threshold.
to that threshold. Honestly, like it's getting pretty scary. The direction that everything's going.
Well,
Every,
and
everything from climate to politics is escalating.
well, and it, yes, you're right, and it's subjective. It's different from one person to another. Like their justifications, their rationales. Like who's right? How do you know who's right? How do you know if you're right? Like
Who's eating this chicken?
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna have to do that like mind blown animation. Oh my god, yeah. That's a it's a tough one. Like it's the thing. It's like people are so sure of themselves. But okay, well,
Ah.
good point to end, I think.
Well, the next topic is pretty similar to. Um, I mean, it's political in a way. It's current events.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I was trying to say. It's or effectively another politics, but it's a very current event thing.
All right. Tell me when to start, and I'll start the timer.
All right. Do you think mail-in ballots should be countrywide?
Ooh. I know this is a hot button topic. Um, I think it's like we have the technology to make that work. But I do like I see both sides. I see the supporters and detractors sides. Like there's definitely some issues um, with mail-in ballots as far as like verification and stuff. Like I know there's a bunch of people that are like, oh, voter ID should be or should not be, and it's like, well, how do you know that a person casting a vote is actually that person casting a vote? Like, can you verify it?
Yeah, they can. It's a signature, right?
Well, yeah, well, but who verifies
I mean, that's how they're verifying it one way or the other. You know, they're
Mhm.
looking at a signature, whether it's in person at a toll booth or whatever you call those places.
Yeah, a voting booth, yeah.
Yeah, voting booth.
A toll go because
Kind of.
Freudian slip right there.
Kind of not lying there.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I do see potential for abuse, especially with using electronic means to verify things. We've been down this road like before. Washington State is actually pretty good about this, but to say, oh, hey, all the states need to do this. Like you've never done this before, but now you have to do it. That's asking for trouble. Because there's evidence to suggest that the states that aren't ready for it might struggle to put it all together.
I mean, the thing is, like, what's ready enough? I mean, both systems have fraud capable in them, but
True.
the statistics I've seen is that the fraud is actually much lower on mail ballots. Like it's harder to actually trick it because, like those voting booths or whatever, like, isn't that how George W. Bush got voted in, with some suspicious tampering of
Well,
voting booths where, just a little algorithm can click things one way or the
well,
other?
that was I don't know if that was how he got voted in, but that was the point of contention, the hanging chads and the, like, not quite punched out punch things. And, the thing is, like, dude, get with the 90s. You just click a mouse and you've done it. There are ways of verification. There are ways of doing things. If we can actually, like, get our heads out of our asses, we might actually be able to come up with like a fairly rational, sensible system. But everybody's fighting to not have such a system, because having things confusing and convoluted and prone to error benefits everybody. Because all you have to do is contest it, and all hell breaks loose.
I'd say we go back to foolproof voting. You couldn't fake it. If you wanted to vote for guy X, you would burn cedar wood at night, and we will watch the cedar wood smoke and count the pillows.
Well, there are ways. There are ways of actually doing it if the powers that be are interested in actually being logical and error proof, I guess. Reducing the likelihood of error. But I as the years pass, I've come to realize that they want things to be obfuscated and confusing and contested, and something that everybody can argue about. You can have, like, a fucking panel on CNN or Fox, like a bunch of people arguing about hanging chads and stuff like that for days on end, because ratings, and you can game the system. If we actually wanted things to be logical and fair, we could do it very easily. I'm a programmer, so call me. Oh, mic drop yet again.
Should have the big old mic dropping.
Oh, man. Okay, so I think it's on to me again.
Wait a minute. I wanted to ask you, what is a hanging chad? Is that where you're, like, hanging from one arm while you got your arm around? Wait. No.
You have to be named Chad, and you have to have your arm around the girl or guy. I mean, it's 2020, so anything goes. Yeah. No, the hanging Chad was the, like, punch in the cards that they used for voting that didn't quite. It was like it wasn't quite punched. They're like had a committee. Expensive, like huge amounts of tax dollars to decide whether, like, a piece of paper was, like, in or out. Just a fucking mess.
So a punch hole with an umbilical cord attached to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like the counterpart to Karen.
Yeah. Yeah, that it was a crazy time. Lawlessness, like cowboys in the streets, like bang bang. Anyway, yeah, we should probably go on to the next topic. So now we're on to tomfoolery, and this is me. So I will start. Autotune, good or bad?
So bad it's good. It's kind of fun to make fun of it. But I mean, like, there have been times where I was trying to sing along to a song and I was having days where I just couldn't hit a certain note, and I was like, man, it would be pretty cool to be able to just, like, move my voice into the correct note or something. But then, like, almost immediately, I have this pang of guilt. Like, I was like, oh, no, that's not my natural voice. I don't know. Maybe I'm just being a purist or something. But
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I'm all cool with vocoders and stuff, but that's like kind of a static change to the whole thing. You're not like dynamically changing it.
Yeah, vocoders are more like modulating your voice with a synthesizer and stuff. It's not quite the same thing. Kind of. But yeah, I mean, I feel like autotune. Actually, the first time I heard autotune was a song by Cher. Do you believe in life after love? I think, or I don't know what the song is called, but I remember those lyrics, like in the '90s or something like that. And then everybody's auto-tuning, and
I don't mind it like in small doses. Like there's a Cure song where he ends like singing with a crescendo, but like as it got like high, it just like went super high, like nothing can make noise like that. So it's like that was clearly like a little auto-tune bend, like way up there.
Mm-hmm.
That sounded cool though. But when you're doing like your whole voice with it, it just sounds like some kid like plugged a microphone in through a Casio My First keyboard or something, and then just started punching keys.
Yeah. Like I think, like you said, it could sound really cool in the right context, and it could definitely be like a tool of expression, like its own instrument in its own right, I guess. But a replacement for singing talent, like, yeah. I
don't know about that. Yeah, and I mean, there's something to be said for being like imperfect. I mean, like imperfections in any other instrument are what we call jazz. Like two dissonant sounds. If you just bang it on a keyboard, like it's like, but if you like throw it into the mix with something beautiful, it jars you a little bit. Even though it's like not the right notes.
Well, what is the right note in art? I would direct people to investigate a Japanese concept called wabi-sabi, the appreciation of imperfection. So that's my little check it out thing, I guess. But yeah, and autotune to me feels like the antithesis of that. Like you have to have perfect pitch or you're imperfect. I mean, there's something wrong with you or something. It's fine if it's done for art, but when it's done because you want to sing, but you suck at singing, like, well, maybe you should take singing lessons, I guess.
Yeah. Instead of sounding like somebody who had a tracheotomy, but still has really good pitch.
Well, yeah, because it like, it basically, it's like a binary thing, or not binary, but it's like a thing that switches from like note to note. Absolutely, it's an absolute pitch kind of thing. So like, yeah, and it's only obvious. It's like CG. You could totally tell when stuff is CG.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't need the uncanny valley. You can completely tell when things are fake. And sadly, today most things are fake. Even singing, apparently.
Every Incredible Hulk iteration after Lou Ferrigno has disappointed me. There's just something about it being a real dude that is that.
Wow. Yeah, I completely agree. That exactly. Well, that's a really solemn and good point to end on.
For tomfoolery.
Yeah. It's supposed to be a happy occasion. So now we're on to what I presume is the last one.
Second to the last, penultimate. Wait, that was just tomfoolery, right?
Yeah,
Yes, yes, there are two more because we got to do the economy one last, right?
that's last. Yeah.
Yeah. So this one will be philosophy.
Philosophy. Okay. Tell me
Yeah.
when to start.
Is music a language?
Yes.
I
I
I
so
agree.
so I a friend of mine who I met when I was going to Pierce College, um, he and I had this idea that music was a translation of brainwaves into some kind of code that another brain could like decode and then feel the same feelings.
Oh,
Um,
well, that's meta.
yeah, yeah, it is. And we spent like hours talking about that. Um,
Oh yeah, dropping feelings. Oh.
but I think it is a language, because the thing is, what is the movie? There's a movie about Mozart, I think, where he's telling the story about.
Amadeus.
I don't think so. So he's telling the story about a song that he wrote where he's like trying to meet up with a lover, and his carriage gets caught in the mud and he's like wrestling with it, and like the song is all about this struggle and stuff. It's like, yeah, if you hear the song, if you listen to it, you can feel that. You can feel that shit. You don't need words. Like there's not a word spoken, it's just notes. Yet
Yeah,
you can paint that picture in your head if you're like accepting, I guess, to it.
yeah. I mean, the point of language is not just to convey information, but to also carry emotion with it. And the fact that music can do both of those things, carry a message and move someone in the same way, and you meet people and you're like, oh, this song moves me this way, and they're like, oh, me too, and you're speaking that same music language, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and
It
I don't think you have to have actual words to convey. In fact, it speaks to our like elevated psyches, I guess.
Well,
That
yeah,
we
you
don't
can
need words.
communicate without words. You can communicate feelings without using words to evoke them.
Yeah,
Like that's so cool, and it's basically a universal language. Like
yeah.
there's dialects, but they all move people in different ways.
Well, and well, that's a really interesting point. I'd actually like to see. I, I would like to experiment and find out if different cultures across the planet can like feel these things, because I've
Oh, I'm pretty
people,
sure there are studies.
yeah,
I feel like I've read one kind of like that. Yeah.
yeah, like my own experiences. I've had a few different cultures and things like that, like gripping me like emotionally, without
Mhm.
words. I, and maybe that's a human thing. Maybe it's universal to all life. Who knows?
And
Going back to the very first topic of conversation.
maybe it's the original marketing pull for the Judeo-Christian model, like maybe the song has made it so popular just because of the language of music is kind
It
of interwoven into a lot of it, you know.
it could be, but I would be sad if it like ended at religion. I would hope it's something like that one episode of Next Gen where everybody realizes they're all connected together.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Oh man, that's that's a that's a huge topic. This is another one that should probably be like its own episode.
Yeah. That episode you're talking about, it's almost like there's two different people, the people that are excited to find out they have something in common with everyone, people that are like just pure vitriol for that. sort
I
of
could never be related to a Romulan. Yeah, and therein lies the problem. Like, you really should be excited about it because it's freaking amazing. Like, it's a thing that should bring tears to your eyes.
Well, yeah. Sometimes I look at a mushroom and then a tree, and I'm like, Rose, somewhere back there, our moms and dads got together.
Yeah. Sometimes I look at a mushroom. Oh, well, okay. We're not going to get into the spiritual side of things.
Mushroom.
Oh, man. Okay, so we're on to the last topic, which is the economy, if I'm correct.
Yep.
Okay, so I guess I'll start.
All right.
Or lead in, I guess, whatever you want to call it. Okay, zoning.
Zoning, like commercial and industrial and residential and all that junk.
It doesn't matter what you call it. It all comes from the state. Like the state, I guess. Not people get all bent out of shape when I say the state. And it's like, well, it's from the city. It's like, well, it doesn't matter. It's still yeah. The government, I guess. Deciding where things should be and what should be built where, and where people should live, and where people should conduct business, as if they somehow kind of have some kind of like window into the way things ought to be, which does feel a little bit witchy to me. Not that I'm averse to that, but
So now, so I get it from. I happen to be an expert in this because I played a lot of SimCity. But if you put all the industrial in one little corner, you can contain the pollution to some degree, rather than having like a house and then like an industrial chemical plant and then another house or something. It economically doesn't like provide for itself unless it's clumped together and like, oh, hey, I need some industrial stuff, I'm gonna go to like the same area of town or whatever and reduce my trips.
Yeah, but from a like business standpoint, like, it doesn't make sense to build some kind of like pollution generating factory next to like my house, right? Like, that makes no sense. Everybody's going to kind of like coalesce into their own kind of places. They're going to go where the business is. They're going to go where the infrastructure is. So why do we need somebody dictating where those places are? And especially as things change, because things change faster than the state is able to keep up with and know about. Those demands and things like that.
I mean, it does seem kind of self-regulating just because we have zones right now. Because it's more theoretical than anything. You know what I mean? Like,
well, sure.
We don't really have it another way. We can't like comparatively look at what would really pan out there.
Well, there are places without zoning. I think Texas is one of the few places that doesn't have zoning. It's kind of anything goes, and house prices are actually significantly cheaper there. Single family housing and stuff like that's a huge problem. The idea that you can't build housing in an industrial place, or you can't have apartments next to houses and stuff, just like, that's why everything's so expensive. Everybody's talking about how housing is expensive, and it's like, dude, it is a simple supply and demand function. It's very easy. All you have to do is look at the fact that it's restricted, and that's why it's expensive. So I have a problem with that. Like, the people who are deciding where things can be built and what things can be built where, they don't know any better than you and I. Like, I'm a fucking idiot, okay? I don't know about you, but I'm an idiot. Like, I would never proclaim to know the best way to do things and where things should be built. Yet there's people with lower IQs than me deciding where things should be built. And everybody just like, oh, well, I guess that's the way it is. And then they complain about how everything's so expensive. Like, what?
But is it really going to affect the price of a house that much?
Mm-hmm. It will, because you can only build so many houses, especially the single family thing. This should probably be its own episode.
So wait, you can only build so many houses. So where's it going from there?
Well, you can. Oh, damn it. There's restrictions on what can be built where in certain zones of cities and things like that. Like, certain areas can only have single family homes, some areas can have apartments and mixed use businesses, some areas are only industrial, things like that, for arbitrary reasons. Like, I don't know. I have no idea why they decide that and how they decide it.
Right. We're minute microscopying this.
Yeah. So, I just thought that should be like a good point to make. Anyway, I think that's.
That was the last one. Oh.
Yeah. Oh man, that was good.
Yeah.
Like, those some of our best topics, actually.
The more beer we drink, the more we say that. I think we're on to something here. I wonder when my liver will fail.
Probably before mine. Because you're an old man, even though you're younger than me. Oh man, huh?
True story.
Yeah.
Threw out my back looking at CDs.
Oh man. Yeah, that was good. Like, oh man, we've got like some other episodes we got to do on these topics, which is good. The lightning round seems to be like the place where we flesh out like cool new ideas to talk about.
People getting a glimpse behind the microscope.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, if you, the viewer, wanted to see us expand upon any one of these topics in this lightning round, go ahead and throw it in the comments and hit the like button and the share and the subscribe button.
Yeah, and thanks for deep sink diving with us into everything that we talk about. And
lightning round.
Oh man, yeah, and again, if you have your ideas about what we should talk about or go back into or something like that, I'd love to hear it. Yeah, man.
Alrighty, have a good night.
Yeah, it's getting late on the East Coast more than the West Coast. All right, have a good night, everybody.